Hello, my name is Emily, as you may or may not know, and let's think of a clickbait title today. Yes, sir and ma'am, it's a yapping video. A long-awaited yapping. I don't think I can show a knife within a certain amount of time in a YouTube video or I get demonetized. However, my knife is pink. But that's gendered. See what I just did there? That was internal misogyny that I just did. Because I'm insinuating that because my knife is pink, it can't possibly be dangerous. Where here's the thing, it can still do some stabby, slicey. Clickbait video. How many times do I have to say I'm sorry? How about that? How many times do I have to say I'm sorry? That's the clickbait title for today. Anyways, today what we are doing, if you're new to these types of videos, pretty late to the game, let's just say that. But these are videos where I basically just talk, and in the beginning of when I first started making these videos, I thought no one was going to watch them, so I made the title really cryptic, so, well, people would click on them. And now it's just become sort of a tradition. And I know it still scares some people, and sometimes people are like, Emily, if you have to say something that's actually serious, no one's gonna believe you. And I just proved you wrong, because when I posted a video about my grandmother dying, everyone believed me because, well, it's true. Wish it wasn't, but let's see. What we're doing today, we are going to be making, I kept seeing these like strawberry yogurt chocolate, what? Strawberry Greek yogurt chocolate bites, right? And I originally saw them from this creator named Linja, who actually I was watching edits of her last night, crying alone in my bed at 1 a.m.
Look how beautiful. Very decadent.
And it seems really easy because sometimes when I cook stuff and it's like a little bit, it's kind of giving, if I were a wife in the 50s, let's just say that I could have really gone the spinster route. I could have really gone the spinster route because, well, back then, you know, as many people wish it were to be today, a woman's place really was in the kitchen. And it really was, you know, in the bedroom trying to give birth to more babies, right? And I think at the giving birth part, I mean, I've never tried it, so I don't know if I'm good at it or not. I wouldn't say that I have the best birthing hips. Man. So I guess I wouldn't be good at the giving birth part or the cooking part. So I'm really glad that I'm born in this timeline, also because of the lesbianism. Because back then, let's just say I perhaps would be lesbian in theory, but not in practice. Or maybe, hey, if my husband went off to war, me and the girls are having a girls' night, and we're all just gonna lie and say we have female hysteria so the doctor can give us vibrators, and then, well, fun sleepover. Did you guys know that? That female hysteria, quote unquote, I was gonna make a video on this actually. Female hysteria, doctors used to give women vibrators to cure themselves of, I guess, expressing themselves too hard. Anyways, first thing that I have written down, it's funny to me when football players smack each other on the ass as a way of saying good job, because imagine doing that in any other workplace. It's just not appropriate. Like, great job on that presentation, Sally. I once saw this tweet or this, like, I don't know, this written post somewhere on the internet that, I'm going to watch these, that men get into sports because it's one of their, well, obviously because I think men can just be passionate about sports just in general, but also it's one of the only avenues for physical touch for men that's not considered, I guess, like gay, right? If you're a wrestler or if you're a football player, right? It's one of the only places where, I don't know if wrestlers do it, but it's one of the only places where it's appropriate to go up to your bro, get a handful of that arse, and hey, it's a celebration. You know, I can't think of many other contexts where guys are just openly, you know, allowed to be like, hey, you know? I mean, I don't see chess players doing that. I don't see Dungeons and Dragons gamers doing that. It's mostly football. I guess it is mostly, do they do that in basketball and stuff too? I don't know. And you know, I used to play sports when I was in high school, right? And I wasn't smacking my female teammates on the butt. I think that's mostly also because I was secretly gay, and I thought that maybe if I did smack them on the butt, the lesbian radiation from my palm would insert itself through the pores of their butt cheek, and then would travel up through the neurons of their brain, and then they would turn around at me and say, I know what you fucking are. So yeah, for any homophobic football fans out there, which I'm sure there are plenty, just remember that maybe don't be too homophobic, because I mean, your idols are out there making it bounce for each other after a touchdown. Here's a little fun fact for you. Your idols are out there smacking each other on your tight end's tight end. How about that? And funny thing, don't worry, I'm gonna go with another rinse. Funny thing I was thinking about, I was really just thinking about homophobia. I guess that's not really funny when I'm just saying it like that, but I was thinking about homophobia, and it really is crazy how, I know this talking point has been said over and over again, but why do you care who someone is sleeping with? Why do you care who someone is sleeping with if it's not hurting anyone, right? Because I think it's a little strange for you to be fixating on who I'm doing patty cake adult version with in bed. That's a really interesting way to describe sex, what I just said. Patty cake adult version. Now I'm thinking about Taylor Swift, Taylor's version. Because if I'm having an interpersonal conversation with someone, the conversation, you know, in the sense that I'm still the same person at my core, the conversation is going to be the same whether I slept with 5 guys or 10 trillion women, right? Wow, what a feat that would be, huh? All right, the next thing I have written down is Mi encanto Barcelona. So, that might not make sense to you. But basically, I just wanted to talk about, I had this inside joke. It's not really so much of an inside joke. It's more of a inside joke with myself that I subject my little sister to, because I don't think she thinks it's funny. I think she thinks it's irritating. However, I keep doing it even until this day. Last year, I went to Barcelona with my friend, right? My bestie. And when I came back, my sister asked me how my trip was, and I could not stop doing that like thing, mocking exchange students where you act like your whole life was changed. It was life-changing. I love to travel. And I would just slip it into every single, way past the initial, like when she asked me how it was, every conversation, I would say, you know what this reminds me of? Reminds me of my time in Barcelona.
It's actually funny. It's what we did in my summer program last year in Barcelona when I lived in Barcelona.
And I think if any of you are older siblings, or if any of you have siblings in general, this is a really fun way to irritate your siblings, right? I'm sharing my knowledge with you. This is what life is about. This is what social media is supposed to be used for. Spreading love, spreading knowledge, spreading irritation of the mind, not the skin, or in an STD type itchy way. So for example, different times when you can use this. Say your sibling is like, I'm going to the grocery store, do you need anything? Such an easy in. Then that's when you say, oh, now that you mention it, I had these delicious tapas in Barcelona, and Now say your sibling asks you a question that it's a little bit more specific. It's harder to sort of integrate your trip to Barcelona within the answer. They ask you something like, Emily, who is the vice president of the United States currently? Now, I'm going to be coming up with this on the spot. Okay, so Emily, who's the vice president of the United States currently? Oh, well, I think that would be J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance, there's an A in Vance. You know what else has an A? Barcelona. And guys, this is even, I don't know if I already said this is applicable even if you haven't been to Barcelona. That's the beauty of it. You can lie. Or maybe if you've been somewhere else, you can replace it with Italia or France. The sky is literally the world is your oyster. The world is your oyster. Just pick somewhere. One time someone commented that I was their mentally ill representation. And guys, I'm not mentally ill. I'm just talking. Yeah, listen, if that speaks to you, if you feel like I'm giving you mentally ill representation, then that's great. You know, I'm not going to say that you're wrong for feeling that. Your feelings are valid. However, I think that I'm not mentally ill. I think that I just am my own person. I mean, obviously I get anxiety, I get sad sometimes, and yeah, and that means I'm mentally ill. So for those watching, especially young, impressionable people, if you ever get anxious or you feel anything other than happy, yeah, you might want to be checking that DSM-5, flip to page 29, paragraph 3, line 7. You're right there, babes. Check yourself in to an institution soon. For example, if you cry during a movie like Coco, where no one has ever cried at that movie before, but you found yourself shedding a tear and getting a little misty-eyed, yeah, bad news for you, babe. Okay, I'm gonna cut up these strawberries into little pieces now. While I cut these, next thing I have written down, I wish when my hair got greasy, I could pull it off as a sexy, slick, wet look, but it just simply looks bad. Yeah, I think that the greasy, sort of slicked back, oiled look only works for certain people. And unfortunately, I think I am not one of those people, right? Because when my hair is, and I think I just discovered the root of the problem. I think when people are doing this wet, slicksy, six-pack, whoa, something just happened there. When people are doing that wet, sexy, slick back look, they're probably using like product or like hair oil to do that. I just realized that when I'm trying to do the quote unquote slick back look, it's when my hair is seriously just greasy and I'm on day 4 of not having, washed my hair. And then I have the audacity, wow, this is really something. I have the audacity to look at myself in the mirror and be like, why does my hair just look greasy? Perhaps it's the grease on thy hair. Wow. I just discovered something about myself. But yeah, whenever I would try to do the sexy, greased, slick back look, let's just say it wasn't really serving girl boss or, office siren, sexy CEO who people are scared of but also attracted to. It was serving, wow, did this girl just get back from the lard fair? Did this girl just get back from the chili oil factory, right? Because there might even be some flakes in there. We don't know. But I think it's always really humbling to like try out something different with your style and you feel excited and have a sense of wonder and a sense of inquiry about the possibilities of the world and all of that. And then you look in the mirror and you just have to absorb what's in front of you in a very sort of, well, I guess these are the cards I was dealt kind of way. I'm not trying to call myself ugly. I don't think I'm ugly. I just think that certain hairstyles are not meant for me to go out in public in. Let's just say that. Because I have thin hair, right? Sidetrack. I got my hair cut in Chinatown, right? Not recently, but within the last 2 years, I went to this salon and this guy who was my hairstylist, he was, sort of just inspecting my hair and he was like, oh my God, it's so thin. Right? And mind you, this guy was bald. And if I were not a nice person, I could have said something like that. You're telling me that my hair is thin. Your hair is not even there, right? And that's fine. It might have been by choice. And even if it weren't by choice, hey, more power to you, because you could have answered the call from a turkey turkey lurkey, but you did not. But he kept talking about how thin my hair was. And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to use the thinning shears on you because your hair is already so thin. It's so thin, 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 thin. That reminds me of my time in Barcelona. Flaca, 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 right? I really hope flaca is thin in Spanish. Otherwise, what I just did makes absolutely no sense. But anyways, because my hair is thinner, when I try to do hairstyles where it's like, here, wait, I have strawberry residue on my hand. I'm going to wipe it. But I try to do those cute hairstyles where it's like kind of like this. But okay, I guess it doesn't look that bad. But I would just try to do certain hairstyles and then bzzz, my scalp is showing hard as all hell. In fact, I don't even know why I did this. I don't need the binoculars. I don't need to zoom in. In fact, I could be standing a mile down the freeway and I could still see my scalp shining bright like a diamond. Hi, Rihanna, how are you? Or sometimes, do you guys ever have this harrowing, mind-numbing experience where you put yourself in a hairstyle and you're looking in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, this is so cute. Like, okay, I'm literally serving cunt on a silver platter with a side of caviar, right? And then you look at the back of your head and it's like, someone needs to execute me in a public town square style where my back is turned to the crowd so that they can witness the reason as to why I am enduring this punishment, not because the city or town is subjecting me to it, but because I volunteered. Comment down below if you had COVID the year or couple months following. Did your hair thin like fucking crazy? Because my hair was thinning because of COVID, also because I was dyeing my hair nonstop. It was probably a combination of those two things, but anyways, I was at dinner with my friends. I might have told this story already, and someone was getting a cute like Instagram story from above, right? Showing like the vibes and the dinner table, the food, raw. And then when I clicked on their story and I saw the top of my head, I said, we have to call the press. If you see the top of my head, it looks a lot better now, but imagine if this space, you see this this dainty little crevice. It's not the first time I've said that. You see this dainty little crevice. It was a bit more gaping. Let's just say that. And that's not the first time I've said that either. That me seeing a video perspective from the top of my head, it honestly did send me into a spiral. Have you guys ever gone into a spiral about balding? A lot of guys in the audience, I know that you guys probably have. It seems to be, you guys have a point of contention with Mother Nature because she does seem to be giving you guys a sort of McDonald's sponsorship on your head. Anyways, after seeing that video, I literally had a meltdown. I was like, minoxidil, I'm calling, are you picking up? And I guess minoxidil is mostly for men because I remember when I told my dad that I bought minoxidil, he was like, why? He was like, oh no, it's just, that mostly men use that. And I was like, well, maybe for once me and men have something in common. And I know that some people say that, about men balding, like, oh, he needs to book a trip to Turkey and this or that. But I also kind of like when guys just shave it all off. Shave it all off. Mr. Clean, welcome, entering stage left. Sometimes I'm almost like, I think that, first of all, it's cheaper, right? Not everyone has the means to go, across the world for hair plugs, right? But genuinely, I think some guys look better with like a buzz cut or bald, right? I think that a lot of the times people always say that, oh, haircuts are, makeup for men. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna be the type of man right now who says, ladies, put down that brush. You don't need the makeup. Put down that mascara. You're beautiful the way you are. Au natural. And that's what I'm gonna say to these men who, use haircuts as makeup. Put down that Delta ticket. Close the gates to Turkey. Turkey is not, Turkey, you can be xenophobic. Turkish people, why don't you be xenophobic towards people entering, foreigners entering for hair plugs? Put down the rosemary oil and dermaplaning tool, right? And pick up a shaver. What is that called? A shaver? Oh, speaking of other ways to annoy your siblings. Oh my God, it's already been 35 minutes. Holy fuck. Guys, it's only been 35. This video might be Longo Balls Jones, right? Sorry. It's been 35 minutes. I've only cut this much of strawberries. Do you understand how much more things I have to do? Oh my God. Okay, well, another thing to irritate your siblings. Sorry, I do this thing with my sister where whenever I make a small mistake or something inconvenient happens, I'll go, I have to do it in the exact cadence. Okay, so say I just knock something over, right? Oh, well, I guess I'm just worthless. No one loves me and I can understand why. I should just sleep in the gutter tonight. Or for example, one time me and my mom went to a restaurant and it was closed. And then I said, I guess I'm just the worst daughter ever. I would understand if you disowned me. And I think my family is just so used to me making those jokes. There's literally no reaction. I think my family is so used to me acting the way that I act that it's just like, you know, flashing away a fly that's like buzzing by your ear. Flashing. You know, me and my family can be, you know, in the car on our way to Seafood Boil, and then I'm in the back of the car like, right? And no one has a reaction. No one has a reaction. And that's my truth. That's the truth. Okay, guys, I'm gonna turn this off because I have a feeling why it's taking me so long to do this is because I can't multitask. I can't, you know, I have an angel on my shoulder saying, be funny, be funny, be funny. And then another angel on my shoulder saying, cut the dang strawberries. So for now, I do have to listen to this guy right here. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, I'm back. I cut the strawberries. And this is funny sometimes reading these notes because these are from so long ago that I don't even remember writing this, right? But this says, imagine you're at your wedding, walking down the aisle, and you trip and eat shit. That has definitely happened to someone before, I fear. I think the worst thing about that situation would be everyone in the audience going, oh, after you fall as the bride, right? And also, with the way wedding dresses are, if I fall in a wedding dress, I fear that I might get lost in the fabric and it's gonna take me about 5.5 minutes to get up, right? And then you just got me laying in the middle of the aisle, sort of, you know, scrambling in a way where people are almost like, is she breakdancing? Cream ASMR. Cream. All right, I got this here. Now we're gonna do a dollop of Daisy. We're gonna do a dollop of Daisy. I can only fit 4 on here, so I'm just gonna eat the rest of this plain. I'm gonna wait for this to freeze. While I wait for this to freeze, I will chat with you guys more because I like you guys and you support me, so I will support you during, I bet you're eating right now. I bet you're eating. I'm gonna support you during your lunch, during your dinner, whenever you're watching this. Maybe you're doing laundry. Maybe you're doing the dishes. Hey, what? Oh, I have to take the trash out soon. I hate when that happens. Anyway, I think that, I'm trying to think as the bride, there's really no way to trip and eat shit at your own wedding and have it be a cool moment instead of an oh no moment. I'm taking so much time to talk because I'm genuinely thinking. I think if you trip and then maybe after you get up, you shout into the crowd like, and that was nothing compared to how I've fallen for you, David, right? Then maybe that would get the crowd going a little bit, right? Or maybe if you start doing push-ups, maybe you just go all out, do a full somersault But then you would burrito yourself into the gown. Sometimes I watch mukbangs and get mad because it makes me want the food so bad, but I know I can't have it. Like, girl, those noodles look so good. Fuck you. Last night I was watching Slushy Noobs. I normally don't watch things where like a woman's not present, but Slushy Noobs, though I am not attracted to you, I've grown rather fond of you. Like we were, what's that thing? Picking apples in Papa's orchard or whatever. And they got seafood boil in the video I was watching. Oh my God. The way I almost had to click out of the video because I was like, this looks so good. It's actually starting to piss me off. And they got this ginormous, humongo, juicy, succulent crab leg that I was like, if I was there, the cameras would need to be turned off because of the way that I would be conducting myself in that restaurant. When I'm at a seafood boil restaurant, that is when I can feel the primal urges, the carnivorous, almost Neanderthal-like thoughts and instincts of my ancestors. And I'm not even talking like China. I'm talking like BC, before Christ. Were there people before Christ or no? Because he kind of created them and all, whatever. The point is, I feel my primal instincts kick in where I'm not thinking anything in my head other than meat, me need to cracky open me to get me meaty. Sometimes it's like, I'm not even using the tools, right? You know how they give you that little cracker thing? I wasn't saying that in reference to a white person. And even if I was, sorry. But they give you that little tool. Sometimes I look at the waitress and I say, oh, honey, I don't need that. And that's the truth. I look at the waitress and I say, oh, we must have not met yet. I don't need that because I use a little tool called the crackers that God gave me, right? My bare hands. And I've developed this technique where sometimes it doesn't always work though, because I went to a seafood boil recently and I was trying my so-called technique and it actually was not working at all. In fact, I was almost a little bit humiliated where I wanted to get up in front of all the other patrons and say, listen, I'm sitting over here in this corner. Do not look at me. Something private and vulnerable is going on, right? But if you have a fat or a long part of the leg and you crack it right in the middle, but you're not, you're cracking it in a sensual, almost sensual way, where you crack the exoskeleton, but you don't do it so hard that it breaks the meat inside, right? So you crack it a little bit this way, and then you crack it a little bit the other way, and then side to side, side to side, right? And then you take off the shell, and that big hunk of succulent meat is sticking right out, just asking to be gnawed on. Oh my God. But it's true, and I'm sure it's a tactic that many people have utilized, right? And there's just something about when you get a big intact piece of crab meat, that's when I feel like I can hear, the spirit realm calling to me in my head saying, good job. You are here on this earth for a reason. And then, oh God, you're zipping it in the butter and you're kind of like, crab meat. Oh God, there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else like it. Also, talking in that voice, that just reminded me, I know this is old news. No intimacy coordinator for Honora. What the fuck is up with that? I'm probably going to do a video on intimacy coordinators, especially as someone who is sort of in that realm. But let's just say I was shocked. I was shocked. Having no intimacy coordinator for Honora is frankly like, having Dancing with the Stars without a choreographer. Because not only were there sex scenes in there, but it's like sex scenes, right? Because there's some movies where there's sex scenes, but there's just a collarbone here, or a caress there, or a little bit of a thigh showing there. No. If you haven't seen Honora, it is F-Fest 3000, right? Okay, it's maybe not quite that bad, but there's definitely sex in it. And it's not really necessarily a sort of, I wouldn't call it quite tasteful, right? Where it's not really like a, ooh, ha, type sex scene, but more like a, so yeah, when I found out there was no intimacy coordinator, that's when I was like, what the fuck? Let's talk about something else. Kombucha sounds like something a surfer would say after surfing a really good wave. Isn't that so true? It's very cowabunga, right? Like, okay, POV, I'm a surfer and I just got off like a 20-foot wave and it was fucking crazy. Yo, that wave was awesome. Kombucha. That just rolled off the tongue so easily. Yo, surf's up. Let's hit the beach today. Kombucha. Just sounds right to me. Wait, and real quick, oh my god, the beeping. I want to show you guys my outfit. Wait, that makes it look bad. Okay, I'm gonna show you my outfit with my phone. I just got this shirt. My friend got me this skirt for my birthday. Ignore the shoes. And then with the shirt, I have a little tail. I know that I was gonna do a video. Okay, well, now that you've seen the outfit, I'm gonna stop this. But I was gonna do a video where I took you guys outside with me to like maybe do stuff and microdose more vlogging outside. But it's raining today, so yeah. But anyways, talking about surfing again, right? I've had this, it's not even a nightmare. I guess it was more like a daymare, right? Equivalent to daydreaming. I was fully conscious while it was a thought that I had, right? I would be so afraid to surf and then flip off the surfboard, have the surfboard hit me in the teeth and then knock a bunch of my teeth out. That's something that I've definitely, it's one of my reasons why I won't go surfing, because I'm afraid of the slight possibility that I will fall off in the exact right way and moment for the surfboard to smack me in the teeth and knock out my teeth. Because if that happened, it would not be kombucha, right? That would not be a kombucha moment. This isn't necessarily about surfing, but about sharks, right? Because now I'm thinking about sharks. Dude, you know how they say if a shark is attacking you, to punch it in the nose? Who do I look like? Fucking Jackie Chan? You want me to punch a shark? Punch a shark in the nose? That's funny. That's rich. Because you know where a shark's nose is rather close in proximity to? Its mouth. I try to punch a shark in the nose. All of a sudden, if all a shark needs to do, if it sees my, powerful, thunderous, Thor-like fist coming near its nose, is literally open its mouth, and now I've just given it an appetizer. Now I'm gonna be elbow deep in this shark's mouth because I was trying to punch it in the nose. What would be the worst movie to make a Universal Studios-esque theme park ride out of? I'm thinking a movie that's really sad, boring, or plain. Like, okay, for example, the rom-com Set It Up on Netflix that came out a few years ago, right? Not really worth making a Universal theme park ride out of that film because, well, it just takes place in New York and that's kind of it. I will say I really do love a Universal Studios Orlando, Florida theme park ride because it really makes you feel like you're in the world. There's certain points where I'm like, I really feel like King Kong is about to rip me a new one on this safari. I really feel like the Minions are going to capture the moon tonight. And it's like the Harry Potter rides are so good, it almost makes me forget that the author of those books is literally the Turfinator, but not quite that good. But the first time I went to Harry Potter World in Universal, one second, I want to get kombucha. Oh my god. For a full circle moment, look what I have. Oh. Health Aid kombucha. Wow. Sometimes the stars align in beautiful ways that are even unbeknownst to me. But first time I went to Universal Studios, I was a child, right? And obviously I was so excited because I loved Harry Potter when I was a kid. When I first got there, I literally started crying. And, pardon. And I was asking a worker at the wand stand, right? Because I I was a fan to the point where it was like I knew what wands belonged to each person, right? So if you were wondering if I was popular in elementary school or middle school, that should answer it for you. But I saw a wand that I didn't recognize. I might have told this story before. Sorry. With these yapping videos, it's like I literally don't know what I've said or not said. So I apologize if I've said this before. But I pointed at one of the wands because I didn't recognize it. And I was like, whose wand is that? Asking the worker. And she looked at me in the Florida heat and said, I don't know. And then that's when I realized as a kid, I think that was when something clicked for me. A gear was turned and landed in the most pristine way that I understood, oh, this is just this girl. This girl doesn't actually want to be here, right? That girl was probably 19 years old. Like, I don't actually give a fuck about Harry Potter. The Potter could be hairy, it could be bald, I don't care. You know, she's standing there probably like, what the hell is a Dumbledore? And how do I lock it and not let any more of you inquisitive people in asking me questions that I don't know? You know, me going up to her like, actually, because of the curvature of this right here wand and the oak that it was made out of, this tells me that perhaps it was utilized by someone in Gryffindor as opposed to Ravenclaw. What do you think about that? And then she's standing there like, I don't get paid enough to think, period. So yeah, I thought that was funny. And I appreciate you for being honest with me and saying, listen, I don't know, and that's the truth. That's my new vocal stem that I've been, is that something that's for autism? Maybe I'm not being vocal stem then because I don't think I have autism. It's just something that I've been saying a lot, ending my sentences with, and that's the truth. Because it is, right? I'm glad that she felt like she could be honest with me. I don't know, and I will never know, and I don't care to know. Right? This wand could belong to Bilbo Baggins, as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of Baggin the Bilbo, whoa, his name really sounds like something that I won't say. But Bilbo, it sounds like a tool. It sounds like a tool that can be used. I'm sure some of you have used it. Anyway, I think I'm gonna change, before I keep talking about this, I'm gonna change locations because we've been really stagnant. Okay. Different location now. All of these ones that I've been reading are from like so long ago. So I want to look at some things that I've written recently, right? So these things are a bit more representative of what's in my mind right now. Minge sounds like a cute nickname for a girl if the British didn't use it in that way. First of all, British people, you've really done your stuff with a couple of things, right? The colonization, not really a big fan of that. English breakfasts, not really a big fan of that either. But what I will say is the word minge, the lot of you. Oh, dodgy, when you describe something as dodgy. I like the word minge as a nickname for a vagina because it does sound a little bit cuter than some of the nicknames we have over here in the US, I would say. I don't know, maybe because I'm an outsider looking in, that word is actually quite vulgar. But when I'm hearing it in my ear, I'm only processing it as in like, oh, Minge, you look so cute today. I want to go get a cup of tea with Minge. There's also this girl on TikTok that I've recently become obsessed with, where Minge in Shaggin area. I repeat, warning, Minge in Shaggin area.
Warning. Unexpected minge in shagging area. Warning, unexpected minge in shagging area. First time at a boba shot.
Delicious. I'm gonna make my perfect British sentence right now. Oi, I just want to let the lot of you know. My accent is so bad. Oi, I just wanted to let the lot of you know that my minge is feeling a bit dodgy. Yeah, in it. Oi. Oh, here's something recent. The first time I made a steak, I was like, wow, I suck. And then I made another one and I was like, wait, this is good. And then I realized the first steak I bought was literally $4.02. Right. So no wonder it wasn't really giving Michelin. Because the first time I cooked a steak, it really was like, you know that one SNL skit of the lady who has her steak well done and she's trying to cut it and it's like literally shaking the table? That was me. That was me. I am afraid that my downstairs neighbors were going to knock on my door and be like, are you moving furniture up here or something? And it's like, no, I just made a steak and I'm trying to consume, you know, the efforts of my labor, right? And I've said this many times, sometimes I cook and eat to survive, not necessarily to enjoy. And that definitely was one of those moments. That was one of those moments where I look into the pan and I say, I guess these were the cards I was dealt. Or these were the cards that I went to the grocery store and voluntarily paid for, right? And I think that's just sometimes expensive things are better. Because the next time I cooked a steak, it was around $14. And that was me really thinking like, God, I'm such a gluttonous pig, right? I am, let's just say tax season hit me a little hard, right? Uncle Sam really hit me in the knockers with that one. Fuck you, by the way. But ultimately, I'm glad that I got the more expensive steak because when I was eating it, I was like, oh, I could actually enjoy this. This is something that maybe I even don't mind doing. You know, when I'm cutting into it, I don't feel like I'm giving myself a rotator cuff injury. You know, when I'm cutting into it, I don't feel like I'm shaking the foundation of the building where, you know, there's going to be a citizen alert app, you know, saying that there's an impromptu demolition happening. Question that I have, do celebrities have emails like Tom Cruise at gmail.com? Or do they have it be a little bit more anonymous, like Gwen Stefani's email being hollabackgirl at hotmail.com? Or do they go even more anonymous where maybe like Whoopi Goldberg's email is ceramicapple at AOL.com, where it's like you have no idea that it's her. I'm assuming these people just have their team speak amongst, but even then, you have to be in communication with your team while they're negotiating with whoever, right? So they have to have an email. So I'm just wondering, like, if I went down a list of celebrities and I was just like, Angelina Jolie at gmail.com, right? Sheryl Crow at gmail.com, Angela Bassett at gmail.com, how many of those would actually be the actual celebrity's email, right? I can't imagine, or I mean, someone like Beyonce, right? It's like, okay, I really have a hard time believing that her email is Beyonce at gmail.com. If I were her, I would literally make my email actual gibberish. It would be like, AJZ456, semicolon, PX4 at gmail.com. But for celebrities who their emails, it's literally just their name at gmail.com, whatever, they must get emails from time to time just being like, hey, Henry Cavill, like, I'm a really big fan. And then it's like you can't even get mad at receiving emails like that because it's not like you put much effort into trying to make yourself anonymous. You can't even reply like, how did you find me? Well, put 2 and 2 together and then add at gmail.com. Oh, story time. Okay, so back in my nursing days, right? One time I had an older patient, not breaking HIPAA, just saying that she was an older patient. I had an older patient introduce another woman in the room as her girlfriend. And I excitedly said, oh, you two are together? And they looked so grossed out and said, no. And then that's when I realized the woke agenda has won. My mind has been so infected and inflamed by the blue-haired lib snowflake virus that I thought when she was saying girlfriend, she meant a dating partner and not a platonic friend. And I think I got a little bit too excited too. There was a chipperness in my voice where they were probably sensing, we need to shut this down now. But it really is true that I forget that people, even like millennial women, use the term girlfriend to describe their platonic friend who they have absolutely no attraction to and absolutely no desire to get a one-way ticket to Scissor City with this person. It's like, this is my sister. But when I use the term girlfriend, well, it's because we've been to Scissor City and back. Oh, this happened to me a few days ago, right? I smelled someone's vape and it seemed like such a specific and potent flavor that it seemed like it would have been called something like Grandma's cookies straight from the oven on Christmas morning of 2009. Guys, this vape, when I got hit with a whiff of that smoke, oh my God, I was like, someone really put their entire gooch, the sauce, the Mons pubis, everything into this vape flavor, because it's almost making me, I'm like, maybe a nicotine addiction wouldn't be that bad, right? It smelled so good. And there are times where I smell certain vape flavors where I'm like, this just seems so specific, and it seems like it was like artisanally crafted in, but also there's still tech involved. It's artisanal, but there's also a bit of technology, and they're, you know, mixing all of these things together in a lab, making potions, poof, 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 witchcraft, right? To concoct this very, very specific smell, right? Because even the smells where it's like, you could just be like, it's blue raspberry, right? To me, it's like the flavor is blue raspberry Jolly Rancher that you received as a Valentine, you know, in the February of 2011, and Mrs. Johnson was your teacher, and it was a little bit sunny outside, and there was a breeze, and everything is good and nice. Because this specific vape that I had never smelled a vape that was like, this reminds me of Papa's pastry, Papa's bakery in Barcelona, right? I had never smelled a vape that was not fruity, I guess, or not. Sometimes also you smell a vape. This is similar in the way with like Axe body spray, right? Sometimes you smell a vape and it somehow smells so distinct, but not like anything. You know, it's like, oh no, it's not grape. It's not, you know, cherry, but it smells like something that would be called like anarchy. Or it smells like something that would be called like interrogation. Something like that, you know, giving very Axe body spray, you know, men fragrances type thing. And I know this has been, you know, such a point that's been, it's beating a dead horse. It really is. But I still find it funny, men's fragrances names, you know? It's like, what do you mean you're putting on a spritz of gunpowder in the morning? But anyways, yeah. Sometimes you smell a vape and you think this has to be a subsection of the Axe spray company because of how powerful and, you know, distinct it smells. Because no, this isn't just a cotton candy vape. This is cotton candy from the summer of 1962 when you were at the fair with your uncle and a clown scared you so bad that you pissed your pants, but ultimately it was okay because you were with family. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna say before I just like wait for this to be frozen so that I can, you know, show you guys the final product, because like I already said, this video is about to be Longo Bill Jones, right? If I think about dinosaurs too hard, I get really freaked out. I saw a sad edit about a dinosaur's last day on Earth, and I had to just stare at the ceiling for a little, right? It was a sad TikTok edit about dinosaurs when the asteroid is coming towards them and they don't know what's happening, right? And it's to that one Radiohead song where it's like, surprise, right? Whoa, no surprises, but I'm sure that asteroid really was a surprise to them. Oh my, like I'm getting overwhelmed right now thinking about the fact that dinosaurs used to exist. We used to have these colossal, majestic, magnificent creatures roaming this earth. And now there's literally nothing left of them except for bones and like what we think they looked like, which we will never know what dinosaurs looked like. We will simply never know because we can only make our best guess. But I wonder if, you know, if an asteroid comes and destroys Earth, or, you know, we just run this place into the ground, but it eventually, you know, evolves again, if people will find human skeletons, what they will predict that we look like, because I have a feeling that dinosaurs didn't actually look like that, right? And I wonder what they're gonna think about humans. But it's like, would they still, if the Earth is literally destroyed, like there's literally an asteroid that comes and destroys all like documentation and video evidence of humans, I think a lot of us would be upset at the way that we would be drawn in future history books, right? I'm sure some dinosaurs, if they were alive and they had the cognizance and they saw how they were portrayed in movies or textbooks and things like that, they would say, that's not me or my cousin or my daddy. Who is that? Okay, last thing I'm gonna say before we eat. This isn't really a thought, it's more of a concept. Banging my head into a man's crotch and saying, look at me, I'm a woodpecker. All right, so now we have our delectable, decadent, frozen sweet treats, right? You can even look at the crystallization of the ice crystals. All right, let's try this. The chocolate should be frozen by now. Oh, and look at the way that it just completely comes off of the tin foil like that. All right, moment of truth. Mmm. It's good. It's a little messiana. Something I wrote down recently. I actually wrote this down before I saw The Wedding Banquet, which such a good movie. I saw the original one. Sorry, I feel like I'm doing a lot of sucking in this. Maybe I'll edit out all the sucking. But saw The Wedding Banquet, and me and my girlfriend were getting snacks before the movie, and she was like, should I get an Activia? And I just started thinking about how funny that is to be in the movie theater amongst all the popcorn and slushies, and you're chowing down on an Activia. So what I wrote down was eating Activia in the movie theater. And then that got me thinking about other foods where it's like that would be a bit ludicrous to eat in the movie theater. For example, perhaps an ear of corn. Imagine gnawing on a literal buttered up, you got the industrial knobs on the side of the ear of corn, and you're chowing down, going ham on that thing like a beaver. Also, bringing it back to a place of seafood boil. If you guys don't know about Alamo Drafthouse, that might just be a New York thing, I'm not sure, but Alamo Drafthouse is a movie theater where they also serve you food, like full-on food, chicken sandwich with a side of fries and a milkshake sort of thing. Imagine if they introduced seafood boil at Alamo Drafthouse, right? Or any other indie movie theater where they serve food, right? Imagine if you were able to get a 10-pound lobster. Okay, here is the secret code for today's video, right? Instead of making it a phrase, I'm going to ask a question. Because while I love seeing the same thing written over and over and over again, gives a sense of camaraderie, I want to switch it up a little bit. So here's the secret code. The secret code is to answer this question. What is the worst food item that you could bring into a movie theater or get at a movie theater, right? I'm gonna stick with my seafood boil because not only is it loud, rather distracting, especially if you have like the plastic bib on. Me showing up to the movie theater and I've covered myself in a tarp because I'm getting seafood boil while you're there munching on your sour Skittles. Yeah, no. I'm gonna be eating about 30,000 mollusks. It's like every minute and a half, you just hear, you know? And then the person next to me, they're getting hit with shrapnel. Wait, no, I'm changing my answer. Sorry, don't want to be sucking on camera. Hot pot. Hot pot would be the worst. Imagine I bring in my own little personal burner. I have my Szechuan spicy broth in front of me and I'm telling to the people, my entire row, I'm like, I'm so sorry, could I put my sliced pork belly here, and could I put my Napa cabbage and enoki mushrooms here? Every time I want to get some meat, I have to get up. We have to do that little dance thing where people are tucking in their legs so that I can go down the row, pick up my meat, come back around and plop it into my... That would be the worst. That would be the worst. So this just in, Alamo Draft House. I know that it's Asian Heritage Month, but don't enact hot pot there. I think that would be a bad idea. Speaking of getting up during the movie theater, I think there's moments in life where it's just filled with humility and it's so grounding, right? And I think having to leave the movie theater while the movie is still going on and you're getting up in the darkness of the theater and you're having everyone having to scrunch up like an accordion. God forbid it's a recliner and they have the recliner out. Then all of a sudden everyone in the row you're hearing zzz, right? Wow, it's moments like these that make us human. Anyways, I really think I've talked for long enough at this point. Yay, I made these. They were good. I hope you all enjoyed today's yapping video. I know a lot of you enjoy them, the lot of you, right? But yes, that's all I have for today. It's really astounding how much ammo I have for these videos. I know that I've done this before, but I have a lot of things on my mind apparently. So yes, we'll definitely do another one of these probably soon. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and yeah, I guess that's really it. Until next time.